All right, good morning, folks. Today is Friday, February 3rd, 2023, and this is your Friday safety meeting. My name is Dennis Davis. I work in the safety department. Our department is located in the Z building on the ground level, center of the room, right next to the pillars. So if you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to stop by, and one of us will either get you the answer that you need or point you in the right direction to get the answers. We do this meeting 52 Fridays a year. We are live here in Springfield, Missouri. We are simulcasting at our outside terminals at Pittston, Pennsylvania, and Salt Lake City. We are also live on social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So we are expanding our reach. Thank you to the folks that are here with us live and are visiting with us on social media. Breakfast is free at all three of our locations. So let's, at all three of our locations, give our folks that are feeding you hungry trucking professionals a round of applause. Come on, you can do better than that. They're working pretty hard. There you go. There you go. We appreciate it so much. You know, our folks are always here helping us out, you know, so let's make sure we are as appreciative for those folks that we possibly can. So, you know, speaking of being appreciative, it looks like we've got a huge crowd in Pittston, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Rick. How are you? How are your folks there?
Good morning, loud and proud. Wonderland.
All right. Man, you guys got a ton of folks there.
We do, you know, and it's got a great crowd. We had a great orientation this week. It was fantastic. Great group of people. You know, it gets they get better and better as the weeks go on as far as new people coming in orientation.
Absolutely. So Nikki Yost was here at our Friday safety meeting last week and talked about some of the increased recruiting efforts. So it looks like some of that is paying off, and it looks like we got a good group there. Tell me about the weather there in Northeast Pennsylvania.
Well, we just had a little squall come through, and it laid down an inch or so of snow, and the temperatures are down around 17 and looking at 0 for the weekend. New England states, you might want to watch out a little bit. They're going to be below 0 up there, 15, 20 below 0. So you might want to watch it when you're up there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about winter weather driving here at the safety portion. But as always, you know, thank you guys for what you do. Appreciate you being here this morning. Appreciate you making the trip into the office this morning. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to jump on the microphone.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, let's go west. Salt Lake City. Good morning, Troy.
Good morning.
Only one problem. You're not Troy.
I am not. Troy's out today, so you've got Aaron instead.
Aaron Ward, the pride of Rogersville, Missouri, out west. Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you?
Doing quite well. Tell me what's going on out in Salt Lake City.
Well, we've finally had a little break in the snow out here, which is nice because it seemed like there for a while it snowed every day. It has been cold, single-digit temperatures in the mornings. The increased snow amount out here has caused some other issues. The elk up in the mountains have decided to move down to the valley. So they're at the I-80 intersection where the interstate comes into the valley here. We've had 30 to 40 elk down there, and they're not small. They're as big as 1,100 pounds and 5.5 feet at the shoulder. So it's not something that people want to hit.
Hey, you know, they got to move toward the food, right?
That's right. That's right. There's too much snow up there, and they don't have anything to eat, so they have moved down.
All right. Well, we appreciate the heads up and the warning. You know, Aaron, how long have you been here at Prime?
I'm going on 17 years.
17 years. That's pretty awesome. I remember when Aaron Ward first started here. He was trained by a brilliant, handsome night fleet manager way back in the day. So,
yes, sir. You were the one.
That was the one. So appreciate you being with us this morning. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to jump on the microphone.
Thanks, guys.
All right back here to Springfield, Missouri. We had a full house this morning. Good morning, everybody. Absolutely full house. I see some neon vests, so that means we've got some new folks here. So let me take this opportunity. If you are new to Prime, first week here, please stand up at all three of our locations and give us an opportunity to properly welcome you to the family. Go ahead. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Big group of folks. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing Prime. Now that you're here, you're part of the family. We did a ton of homework on you. You know, some of you we didn't take. Some folks that applied. You know, we looked at their work history and their MVRs, and then said, you know, we appreciate your interest, but I think we got some better qualified applicants, and those better qualified applicants are you folks that are here with us. So we don't ever pretend to be a perfect company. We are trying to get better every single day, and this is a part of that, where we come out in front of you and be as transparent as we possibly can, and address any issues that needs to be addressed. So thank you guys so much for being here. Also see some familiar faces. So at all of our folks at our terminals that are veterans here at Prime, I just want to tell you, welcome home. Thank you for being here. You know, make sure you make good use of the amenities that are at all of our locations. And then, of course, let's get you back on the road, get you loading and generating some revenue. So thank you for what you do. Up here with me this morning, I got John Harden. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I just kind of took it over. You just wasn't even here for a second,
I
right?
thought about getting breakfast or something, but we're good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Outstanding. It's good to see a bigger class come in now. You know, we're going to start seeing those at all the terminals. So welcome everybody that this is your first week at Prime. We're excited that you're here. Appreciate you being here and appreciate you choosing Prime, much like Dennis said. So we get a break in the weather down here. Sounds like we're better off than the Northeast.
A little bit better off in the Northeast. You know, Springfield Public Schools have been out every single day this week. This is the only day Springfield Public Schools are in school. As of yesterday afternoon, there wasn't a speck of snow or ice out on the road, so I think we're good to go. Early next week, they're predicting, you know, upwards of 60 degrees. So, you know, every day we get closer to spring is a good day for us.
It's going to tease us, and then it's going to go right back to where we're at.
Of course, of course.
We're not there yet, so.
Hey, so, you know, we've got a jam-packed meeting today, and I took a little bit extra time just kind of rambling. So let's jump right into the safety, if you don't mind.
Okay. Put some glasses on for this. All right, so inspections last week. We did 140 inspections. We had 98 of them were clean, so that's a 70% inspection pass rate. So everyone give yourselves a hand. That's outstanding. So this wasn't my week to go through the inspections, but talking with Bill, who did go through them, he said it looked pretty good this week. You know, not a lot of the ones that we've been seeing. We've been seeing a couple of bypass scale tickets. Those are no good. Handheld device tickets, those are no good. So we were pretty clean this week, which is outstanding. What he did want me to mention, and we're actually going to talk about this here a little bit more later, was some of the log issues that we're still seeing as far as certifying our logs daily, having a paper log book. We can't produce the sheet or the user manual. So we're going to go through some of that along with the E-rods with the log folks here in just a minute. So, but I did just want to mention that. So with those inspections, we paid out $725 to company operators and $7,800 to our independent contractors for a total of $8,525. So outstanding job.
Outstanding job indeed. And, you know, a lot of times we get up here and we talk about some of the challenges that we have on a week-to-week basis, and that's just part of the culture. As we talked about earlier, we want to get better. But, you know, it's not a good opportunity to reemphasize that, you know, 70% clean inspections. That means you guys are just doing a fantastic job of making sure that you're doing proper pre-trips, doing a fantastic job of making sure you know exactly where your permits are, whether they're hard copy or on the app. You're doing a fantastic job of making sure you are listening to that law enforcement agent. You're being respectful, and they're giving you that clean inspection. So I know we already did it once, but give yourselves a round of applause again for all the folks that are out there doing it the right way every single time. We really appreciate those folks. And, you know, we are what I like to call a teaching company. You know, you're never going to see somebody get fined for that, not by us anyway, maybe by the state of or whatever, but we want to coach you. We want to teach you. We want to provide you with every resource we can to make sure that you get better and that you're successful at what you do and in your business, because in turn, that means the company as a whole is successful. So.
Absolutely. So you want to jump right into the speakers here since we got a packed
schedule, so we're going to jump right into the speakers here. So, I want to talk just for a quick second about feedback. We always coach and ask for feedback, and some folks are a little bit leery. Do they really want to care what the drivers think? We do. One of the feedback we got specifically from this meeting was, hey, you guys are always talking about the reefer division, which we understand is the biggest division, but we rarely ever hear from the other divisions. So we made an immediate change. Last week, we had Kyle Walk from the tanker division come and talk about the new Manuka terminal and some of the opportunities we have there. This week, we got a speaker from a different division. Who do we got?
We do. We're going to bring up Ross Clement. He's with our Intermodal division. So, Ross, if you're ready to go.
Absolutely. Good morning. My name's Ross Clement, and as I said a second ago, I work in the Intermodal division. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to come down and kind of share a little bit about Intermodal. I get a lot of calls weekly from drivers from different divisions that, let's say, I've never heard of Intermodal, or I just heard of it for the first time. Can you explain what it is? Maybe it'll be a good fit for me. Maybe it won't. And so, what is Intermodal? Intermodal at its simplest form just means multiple modes of transportation. And for us, that's rail or train and truck. So we've got drivers in most major cities of the country that run locally out there in day cab trucks and are home every night, simply running loads from shippers and receivers in and out of the rail yards every day and delivering reefer freight for us, just like many of you do over the road. So, that kind of answers the question on Intermodal. You'll see our containers and trailers at shippers and receivers. Many of you have probably seen those before. They're a little bit different than our over-the-road trailers. Our containers are very specific to that location. So if you see an Intermodal container at a shipper or receiver, they're on a chassis that we pay a rental fee on that comes out of the rail yard, and it has to go back to that particular yard. So if you ever hook to one and you're told, it has to be dropped back at the yard, it's because it is specific to Intermodal and can't be used over the road for reefer use. A little more about us. We run anywhere from 700 to 900 loads a week in Intermodal. We've got about 80 trucks and drivers and around 1,600 containers and trailers. So we're a very small portion of Prime overall, and that's why many of you probably haven't heard about us. But we do continue to grow every year. This year alone, we're looking to add probably 40 drivers here in Intermodal in most major cities. Actually, the target areas right now are Chicago, Illinois, Fontana, California, Kansas City, Missouri, and Stockton, California. But we do have some other job postings in other areas as well. So if you want more information on Intermodal, feel free to reach out to me at any time. My name is Ross Clement. I'm upstairs on the second floor of the main building in the northeast corner. Or, if you need my number, holler at your fleet manager and he can get your number or get my number to you and give me a call.
So real quick, if somebody is interested in one of the cities that you just mentioned, Stockton, Southern California, Chicago, what kind of a radius is ideal for them to live within those cities to work in Intermodal?
Great question. Really, how far, how far do you want to commute to work every day? Typically, that's about 30 miles or less. For some people, maybe it's a little bit more than that, but we park at yards most of the time, and then the drivers commute into work, start their day, and then commute back home at the end of the day. So that's kind of the answer to that question, is how far can you commute every day realistically and work a full day and then go back home?
So on the trailer situation, trailer versus container. So right now there are a number of the Intermodal trailers that are being used in the over-the-road network, correct?
Yeah, we've got about roughly 100 trailers that are Intermodal trailers, not containers, that are running in the over-the-road network. I think about 50 of those are true over the road, and then maybe 40 or 50 more are used in Salt Lake City for the LW Miller shuttles.
Okay. And just one other thing about the containers real quick, kind of explain, whenever, if you do see a container at a customer, we have a lot of shared mutual customers with the over the road side, but if you do see one, aside from, the relocation fees and everything, if one gets pulled out of an area, what are some of the other potential issues that could happen if one of our trucks, an over the road truck, hooks to one of these containers?
That's a great point. So the chassis is underneath the container, so it's two pieces of equipment. You got a chassis, which is the frame and wheels basically, and then you got the container that sits on top. The chassis are built a little different than your over the road trailers, whether you're in flatbed or reefer or what it is. And long story short, when you back under a container, if you don't know what you're looking for, you can damage the frame of your truck or tear the mud flaps off your truck, because there are closer tolerances there, depending on where you have your fifth wheel set in the sliding position. So they are set up a little differently. You got to really be careful if you do hook to one. So really, we want only intermodal drivers pulling a container unless we've had a very specific conversation of what to do, what to look for, and how to pull it. So.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions for Ross while he's up here at any of the terminals?
Are you gonna have change cities like towards the south instead of the west and the Midwest?
I'm sorry, can you say it one more time?
Are you gonna have intermodal coming out to the south?
We've got, like, what area?
I live in Louisiana.
Louisiana. I don't, at this point, we don't have anything out in the Louisiana area, and I don't see any changes on that in the very current future anyways. Georgia, we do intermodal in Atlanta, so.
Question in Pittston.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. I had two questions. Well, you answered one of them. You said one is in Atlanta. What part of Atlanta? Is it in Savannah?
All around the Atlanta area. Basically, the rail yards we run in and out of are right there in Atlanta. So.
You need a twig card to be out in the railroad, or just the ports?
You do not have to have a twig card to get in and out of the rails.
All right, let's take one more question here.
I got a question. Do y'all ever pick up the phone? Because I left maybe about 4 or 5 messages.
Yeah, absolutely. So I get I get voicemails on a weekly basis. So yeah, absolutely.
I never got a call back
Okay.
until the end of my lease, and that was maybe last week.
Maybe you're getting the wrong person. I'm not sure.
Nah, I left a voicemail for you and the other
Okay.
guy. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, Ross, thank you. No other questions. Ross can stick around here if anybody else has any other questions and answer anything you've got after the meeting.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Ross. All right, who we got? It's eerily quiet today.
I know.
Man,
I almost get nervous introducing this next guy. Maybe you should do it.
Yeah, I'll let you do it. Yeah, you guys got a history, so let's go for it.
We do, and it's Dennis's fault because, as you saw when we opened the meeting, when Dennis starts talking, Dennis is talking. Well, Dennis takes about 2 sentences and looks at me and says, "What do we have next?" And I wasn't ready, so now I'm ready for it. So we're going to bring up a very popular gentleman right now out of our payroll department, Mr. Sean Riker here. Talk about DriveWise. I've been getting a lot of calls about DriveWise.
Have you?
I have.
So I have also. So I've been up here before kind of discussing what DriveWise is in general, sent some fleet messages out. You guys know, obviously we switched over Tuesday night, 31st, pre-pass ended for scales, DriveWise began. So we tested this for 3 months before that, had 1,000 of our company drivers on it. And really, it works awesome. It does a lot of things for us. I'll address the immediate issue, though, is going to be when you do 1,000 of them, it's a little different scope than when you do 8,000 of them. So what happened was when we rolled it out for everybody, certain ones did not activate immediately on there. So kind of to be expected, I guess, overall. But we tested this a lot. We really tried ahead of time to make sure this didn't happen. But if you're still having issues, what you would need to do will be to log out and log back in. And if it doesn't work at that point, then let me know. We're down to just the nitty gritty. Virtually everybody's on and active with it right now. So now that we know that part of it, what is it in case you guys haven't heard anything about it? So it replaces your pre-pass for bypassing scales. Does it do tolls? No, a lot of confusion about that. So it does your scales only. And instead of a transponder like we had for pre-pass, it is actually built into your OmniTrax device. So when you're going up there, and this is one of the benefits of it, when you're going up there, it gives you a heads up 2 miles out that says, hey, Sean, there's a scale in 2 miles. Make sure you start getting over. Gives you another alert at 1 mile that says, hey, Sean, remember, there's still a scale up here at 1 mile. Move over. And then it gives you a command, is what they call it. There's a light also on it, but there's a command that says either bypass or pull in. One of the questions I've got from a lot of people on our test group is, it doesn't even work. It just tells me follow transponder. But during the test on the company drivers, that's what it had to say because we did not have it fully activated with DriveWise. So it had to default to your pre-pass, which is who we had our agreement with. So if you talk to anybody that was on the test, says it doesn't give me any commands, it did not during the test, but it does now. So you go up there, you get a command that says bypass or to pull in, one of the two. So the real thing is, what is the benefit to you guys for it? Because pre-pass does bypasses also, right? DriveWise does bypasses. So each of them can say, I have X number of locations, right? Those locations don't matter if they're in the middle of nowhere and we don't use them, correct? So that was part of the analysis that we did on to say, of the locations we go to, or the locations they have, how often do we go through it? So I was able to look at it and see number of pre-passes that we go through, that we get green lights opportunities for, versus DriveWise. And there is a substantial difference on the routes that we run through DriveWise opportunities for green lights compared to pre-pass opportunities for green lights. So why are we switching? To get you guys more opportunities for green light bypasses, right? That's the number one thing, because if we can help you guys out there and not have to stop at scales, that makes good sense. So number one, like I said, was the bypasses. Number two is there's safety opportunities with it also. And whenever I say that, you get alerts, and there's 4 alerts that you guys will get. They're going to be steep grades. If you go down a hill, I think it's above a 6% grade, something like that. Steep or downhill, sharp curves, low bridges, and real-time traffic congestion ahead. So all of those are valuable because we've talked up here several times. Dennis has talked about it because of the safety side of it, right? Now, everyone in here knows if you go up to a low bridge, is there a sign ahead of time? You bet there is, right? But what if someone's acting a fool next to you here driving, you're looking at them in your side view mirror, you missed the sign. Would you appreciate somebody giving you a last minute heads up that says, hey, Sean, you're about to get in a situation you don't want to be in? I worked in safety for a while. I appreciate every minute of time there. And it let me realize when I talk to people after an accident, did any of them intend to have an accident? No, that's why they're called an accident, right? And every one of them, I'm positive, would have appreciated a heads up that said, hey, this is about to occur. One last bit of heads up. And I know a lot of people say, well, if I trip playing correctly, if I'm paying attention to signs, things like that. Guys, it just takes a second to go by that sign and miss it. And then, like I said, I think you would appreciate the opportunity to say, hey, here's one last chance to do the right thing. So we know what it is. We know the benefits of it. Some of the questions I've got about it recently. Hey, is it going to melt down my OmniTrax system? Fair question, guys. I'll tell you, I had the same concern whenever we started the test on it. And the answer is no, it's not going to. It actually runs independently of everything else in there. A lot of people think it runs with your Navigo. Does not. Does not run with your e-logs. Any of those systems could be down. Your DriveWise will still work. We had 0 downtime with DriveWise in a 3-month test that we had it. I don't anticipate to have any. Your actual Qualcomm unit or OmniTrax unit would have to stop working in order for OmniTrax to not work, or I apologize, for DriveWise not to work on your OmniTrax device. So it's going to work. It's going to give you bypasses for scales. It's going to help you guys whenever you guys are out there be able to see those 4 alerts that I was talking to you guys about: steep grades, sharp turns, real-time traffic, and low bridges. So what questions do you guys have for me about DriveWise or anything? Yes, sir.
Adam, 5 years lease operator. Thank you very much for keeping implementing things that benefit us. I appreciate it. And I've used DriveWise the last couple of days. It works. Can you tell us the hot spots where it's not working? Because I found myself appreciating it like, hey, it's coming up, it's coming up. It alerts me. When is it not going to alert me so I can pay extra attention to those signs so I'm not lulled into, hey, it's taking care of me. Where's it not working?
That's a good question. I appreciate you asking that. And one thing I failed to mention to you guys is there are certain scales that DriveWise and pre-pass both work at. There are certain scales that only pre-pass works at, and certain scales that only DriveWise works at, right? So instead of DriveWise saying, I'm going to alert you about our scales only, it doesn't do that. Even if it's a pre-pass only scale, it will still tell you 2 miles ahead of time and 1 mile ahead of time, and it will just say, follow a road sign or something of that nature, whatever that is. So you're still going to know, even if it's not a DriveWise site, it will give you an alert that says there's a scale upcoming, so you don't bypass that scale also. So every single scale is geofenced, is how they operate it. So it's geofenced, you'll know it ahead of time, whether it's pre-pass or DriveWise.
There's not certain states where it's not working.
Well,
There's not certain states or locations where it's not in the country that's it's not working.
well, so like Georgia doesn't have any at all. So there's certain areas of it, yes, where, like I said, it will or won't work depending on site and location. But even if not, if there's a scale there, even if it doesn't work, it's going to still tell you there's a scale ahead. And then you'll know if you don't get a command to bypass, you're not going to bypass, right? So that part's pretty easy. So I appreciate the question. I'll also mention, Bill, while you get him the mic here, I'll also mention during our test with our company fleets, not only did we not have any downtime at all with the device itself, but one of the things I really appreciated was the safety side of it and the alerts that they got on it. So yes, sir.
The last company I had that DriveWise, and it did not work even with this because I came up on a scale and never alerted me. Do you guys have that issue fixed on the Prime side? Because it literally did not mark that 2 mile mark like it's supposed to with a scale that was coming up, and that was out on the west side. I've had a lot of issues like that.
So no, we've not seen that. And I'll kind of give you some backstory here. About 5 years ago, we tested this beforehand, and really it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't robust enough. Situations like you were just talking about. But no, now with the new test, haven't noticed any of that. If you do notice it, please let me know about that to make sure that we don't have anything out there. But no, haven't noticed any piece of that at all with the test for the last 3 months on it. Yes, sir.
I was wondering at company drivers, we still have the over RPM and all that. So a lot of us run with the volume turned off. And then for night drivers, if you have it blacked out, well, now you have no warnings at all. Is there any way we can get some of that turned off or whatever, so it's not quite so annoying?
Well, there's 2 ways to get alerts on it, right? And really it's convenient. 'Cause a lot of people are like, man, this can be a distraction. Do I have to look over and read a whole thing that tells me what's going on? No, you have 2 options. There's a light. It'll be red if you pull in, it'll be green if you bypass. So if you don't want the volume on, you look at that. If you don't want to look over at it, because some people have them mounted in odd areas, it's not as easy to see. In that case, you would have to do an audible one on there.
Company driver has all the other sounds that's constantly going off.
So yeah, so if you're one of the people who mutes their Qualcomm, you will have to do it so you can see the alert on it. I mean, it's going to have to be audio or visual. That's the only 2 options that there are.
I guess what I'm asking is, can we look into having the over RPM turned off since it's an automatic and we can't do squat about it anyways?
Yeah, that would be a question for someone else, but I'll find out who afterward and I'll see what we can get done on that. If we can anything, yes. Any questions on the locations? Guys, I think this is really going to work out good. We take all these things serious whenever we make changes like this. I hate changes. Our poor permits department is going to have to get back 8,000 pre-pass transponders. It's going to be a lot of work, but the work is worth it if you guys get more bypasses and if we can help you guys avoid accidents out there. Yes. Hang on. Get a mic real quick. I want to make sure I hear you.
So we're going to need to pull the transponder, the pre-pass off of the windshield, obviously, and turn it in.
Yeah, so do it while you're here. Give it to the permits department.
Permits over in the plaza,
Yep,
correct?
the new plaza. Yes.
Okay.
If you are going through Pittston or Salt Lake, you can give it to the inbound base there. If you're someone who doesn't ever make it through here, mail it in to us. Just attention to our permits departments. I put this on all of our messages, but I know you guys get a ton of messages, but we get charged for each one of those transponders that does not come back to us. So get them by April 1st, back to us, we can get it back to them.
Just to clarify, it's the pre-pass, not the easy pass.
The black pre-pass, yes.
Yes, exactly. You don't
Leave your blue one up there. That's your total.
Will they come off of the windshield okay? Because sometimes those things stick so bad, you almost have to break the windshield.
So if you use what came on it originally, it's double-sided 3M Velcro that would just unvelcro off of there. Now, if you epoxied it up there, you'll have to figure something out on your own. So I'll be over here afterward if you guys have any questions. If you guys have any issues with it, you get a hold of me. It's kind of new to all of us still, but definitely I think it's going to be a good change for you guys. So appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, thank you, Sean. You know, as we talk about change, you know, I'm start to transition my log folks to come on up. So we've got Donna Eckert in logs, and we're going to have Jonathan Grice from our reefer dispatch department. But I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball for them, and they're probably going to hate me for it. So I think everybody at this point have heard about the personal conveyance test, and you know, each of us have our own personal feelings about it, and that's okay. I encourage that. Just by show of hands, you know, I need a dissenter. Who thinks it's a bad idea? Who thinks we should not be doing this? Don't be shy. Anybody out there? Come on up. Come on up. You knew what was about to happen. Come on up. Cause you guys come on up too. Let's get everybody some microphones and let's have a quick discussion, okay? And the part of the reason I just changed the plan for these guys is that, you know, one of the most important things, come on up. One of the most important things that we do is we want feedback from you, all right? Even if you disagree with what we're doing, that's okay. You know, not everybody in the room is going to agree with something, but our goal is transparency. We want to explain to you what our thought process is when we make these decisions, and kind of what our process is as we go through the program. So tell me what your name is, sir.
My name is Dana.
Dana, I'm Dennis. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I see you're a million-mile driver, so you've been around here for a while.
Been here for a while, 10 years plus.
10 years plus. Hey, man, appreciate you being here. So I've kind of put the word out that, you know, I'm willing to talk and discuss with anybody that has questions, comments, or concerns about, you know, the PC test, right? And, you know, I've got a few calls here and there. I've got a few emails here and there, and I suggest if you're out there and you want to talk to me on the side or give me a call or shoot me an email, feel free to do it. But thank you for being brave enough to come up here and tell us what your feelings are, and
Not a problem.
and tell me what your concerns are.
Are we taking it away from all the drivers, or is it based on just people who are not obeying it?
Okay. So his question is personal conveyance being taken away from all the drivers, or is it based on people that are what I'm calling egregious offenders? Is that fair? All right. So a couple things. One, we're not taking anything away from anybody. In fact, we're doing quite the opposite. Those egregious offenders that you're talking about, we're giving it back to them too. All right. Every single driver will have the personal conveyance available. The only thing that we're asking you to do is make sure that you do it with the full support of Prime. All right.
Right.
So when we talk about something being taken away, no, quite the opposite. Everybody's getting it back.
Oh, that's good.
Any other questions,
No,
comments,
it was-
concerns?
Well, the whole thing is, you know, don't go down the road with it if you're pulling a load or anything like that. But you were saying last week you had to call in and verify. What was that all about?
That's the full support of Prime piece. So, you know, what we're asking folks to do during this test, you know, it's not enabled on your device. All right. And what we're asking them to do is before they decide to click that personal conveyance, that we just double checked and we get that insurance from our log advisor that this is the right thing to do. All right. We've run into some situations where we've got some folks that think that was the right use of it, but that wasn't the case. All right. And I'm glad you asked the question about these egregious offenders. All right. And that's kind of been what the feedback has been. Hey, if there's an issue with it, just take it away from the guys that are misusing it. Right.
Well, you really can't do that. It's not fair.
Well, let me give you the logic behind that. One, that's what we're already doing. We've been doing that. All right. Yet that score is still going up. So, you know, logically, it's those folks that don't have it that aren't causing the score to go up.
And the score is the CSA score is being caused by being audited.
Well, it's being caught by being inspected roadside
Gotcha.
with improper personal conveyance use.
Okay.
All right. So these folks that are egregious offenders, they don't have personal conveyance. So they're not the one driving up the score. It's the other folks. It's the innocent offenders. The man, I thought that was the right thing to do, or I didn't know. These aren't folks that are doing it maliciously. They're not trying to circumvent any rules. They just simply made a mistake. All right. And here's what I promise you. All right. As a long-term driver, one, I'm not going to let you make that mistake. I think, as a branch of our safety department, our law folks owe it to you to make sure that you have the insurance, that you're doing what's right.
Appreciate it.
The other part is, because that CSA score affects you, I'm going to make sure that your buddy that's parked next to you, whether egregious or not, whether mistake or not, that he's doing it right. So I'm protecting you on two fronts.
Appreciate it.
All right. You got any other questions?
No, that was about it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming up.
Thanks, bud.
All right.
Have a great day.
You too. All right. So let's transition to what we originally planned. So this is Donna Eckert and this is Jonathan Grice. Donna works in our log department and Jonathan works in reefer dispatch. So I think we lost the microphone at some point. Let's get one of these guys a microphone. So, we've been hammering down on this PC issue for a few weeks and Donna has a few things on it. But she's going to talk about some of the other log challenges and some of the easy fixes that we can put in place. So good morning, Donna.
Morning, everybody. Okay, so yes, PC is one of our biggest items right now. However, there are some items that we do really want to discuss to make sure that we get a handle on and make sure everyone is knowledgeable about. One of the things is going to be the DOT inspections. When we get the inspections in each week, we do take a look at what are the most populated items that we're getting violations for. A lot of these items are easy to address, such as not having a paper logbook. We provide paper logbooks. You can get them at any one of the terminals. They're in the log department. We have stacks and cases, driver lineup. But each driver has to have a paper logbook on the truck, to each their own, okay? And then, of course, the paper logbook, I always tell everybody, it's your holy grail. That's going to be where you're going to find your instruction sheet to be able to get the information for the officer. It's a walkthrough, directions on how to pull that information from your Qualcomm. Certifying your logs daily, something that has to be done every 24-hour duty status period. Not knowing how to send E-rods. Again, that's going to pertain to your instruction sheet, which is located in the back of your holy grail, the paper logbook. Okay, the instruction sheet gives you all the directions on where to find. Go to the data log tab. It tells you how to send the E-rods. It tells you how to pull up your logs for the log review. But that's all located in the back of the book. And then, of course, the paper logbook also is your backup plan. So if your Qualcomm goes out and you do not have a paper logbook on the truck, technically you cannot move. You have to have the backup plan, okay? And this is what the paper logbook is for. There are graphs inside. It's the old school paper and pen, okay? And this is how you're going to log and record all of your duty statuses.
Okay, thank you very much. So I've got a couple of questions that I get, okay? So I think that maybe this is on everybody's mind, whenever this gentleman asks a question about, we've got to call in every time. So the question I get the most, or maybe the complaint or whatnot is, how long am I going to have to wait on hold? And from what I understand, it hasn't been very long, but kind of talk about maybe some proactive measures that all of our drivers can take on the road. If they're going in to get fuel, they know they're going to need that from the pumps to park or whatever the case may be. What are some proactive things that they can do to ensure that they're not waiting and holding other folks up as well?
Yeah, so definitely there's a lot of proactive steps you can take in getting the PC enabled. And the biggest thing is trip planning. That's still a part of it. So you know that if you're at a customer, you know you may have to leave, that the customer doesn't have overnight parking. So you know you're going to have to find another destination. So it's calling ahead. I'm going to be leaving the customer. This is where I'm going. PCs are already enabled, so when you're ready to go, you can go. Having the ignition in the on position for the PC when we enable it helps get better communication for that update to take place. If you are in the off-duty status, another thing we see is just switch over to sleeper berth. That way it takes you out of the off-duty status since that's where PC is located. And also in your Qualcomm under hours of service, there's a lot of tabs at the top. of the screen. One of them is the 8-day tab. If you click on the 8-day tab at the bottom of the page, there's a button that says log request. This does like a refresh, an update quick on your logs. So by selecting log request and hitting OK, it'll do the quick update to help get that PC showing available a little bit quicker too as well.
Perfect. So just a scenario. I know I'm needing the fuel. I'm getting ready to pull in. When I pull in, I'm stopped. My truck's running. I'm waiting for the truck in front of me to move out of the fuel pump. Right then would be a good time to call in, correct?
Yeah, right there's a good time. It really doesn't take that long to get it enabled. It may seem longer, but usually it could take about a minute, maybe 2 at most. But as long as you do it right away, you'll be ready to go when you make the move.
Perfect. So that scenario is much better than you fueled, you go inside, you come back. The folks behind you are waiting for you to pull out, and then you make the phone call. So if you be more proactive than that, I think you'll find that that'll be much better for you. You won't have that lag or delay that everybody's worried about. So Jonathan hasn't spoken yet, and we can't let him off easy. So what's the feedback you've been getting from your drivers since you've been on this test?
Well, initially it was a little bit of skepticism, but after the first couple days, I've had a lot of buy-in with it. The last probably week or so, I've heard very little from my drivers on it because I've already kind of directed them to logs if they have any questions, and we've had a lot of great help from those folks. And like I said, the last week or so, it's been nothing from a dispatch side.
Perfect. So we get the phone call volumes sent to us, Dennis and I, and we're not seeing probably more than 8 to 10 phone calls in a shift, whether that's a 7 to 5 or 5 to 7 shift in general, per fleet. So the calls haven't been overwhelming at all. Is that what you guys are still seeing down there?
Yeah, we're really not seeing a high call volume on the PC enabler. And like I said, a lot of people are getting that proactive steps and saying, hey, this is where I'm going. So we can check it real quick. We verify it and then they're on their way. But it really hasn't been much of an issue. And the biggest part of it is that it's keeping the driver legal, like you guys said earlier. I've had a couple phone calls where they said, oh, I'm going to go here. And I say, okay, where is that? I check, and then they realize it's not a legal movement. So we come up with a different plan. And right there, that just kept them from getting the violation later on, possibly.
Perfect. And that extra layer of protection is outstanding, because just because maybe I do it today and I inadvertently do it incorrectly doesn't mean that I'm off the hook tomorrow. That can still come back and bite me 6, 7, 8 days from now, or even further than that. So that extra layer of protection is great. So probably some of you in here have been on this. So does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Question in Pittston.
Go ahead.
You guys said that, we're going to have to call you guys in every time we want to use PC. I got a couple things wrong with that. Namely, what about for the guys that go home and they don't have a car at home? They use their truck to go do their grocery shopping or what have you. So we got to call you guys on our days off to make sure we can go get our groceries or whatever we need to do, because, hey, the truck is that's what we use to drive around. Or if we're at work, we got to call you guys, say at like 3 a.m. when I'm just getting done at a grocery receiver. I have no time on my clock. I got to call in at 3 a.m. so I can leave the grocery shipper, when some of them, they really want you out of there right that second. They really don't give you any time. So now I got to wait, because the problem with that is, especially at night, have you guys tried calling any of Prime's numbers at night? It's almost a guaranteed long wait. It really is.
Okay, so at nighttime, we usually say if it is a little bit more difficult to send a message, it's easy for them to multitask a phone call with a message. That's something we do on a daily basis ourselves. But again, it's being proactive, not waiting to the last minute to make the phone call before you roll out. When you're planning your trip, which customers you're going to go to, perhaps that you're going to need to leave. So when you're at that customer, like I said, calling ahead of time, maybe it's a half an hour before you're going to be leaving. Hey, I'm going to be needing to leave the customer. There's no overnight parking. Can you enable, PC for me? And that way, again, it's just getting ahead of the game, and know before you go.
So, and I'll chime in just a little bit there, sir. Thank you for that question. And we've got that question a couple times, so we've been doing this almost 3.5 weeks at this point. I've gotten one complaint so far about a driver not being able to get a hold of the law person at night. And ironically, they weren't a driver that was on the personal conveyance test fleets. So, but, that's not to say that it hasn't happened. I'm just to say I haven't got that feedback. If you are experiencing that, let us know so we can, and part of this is to see what we need to do from a staffing standpoint as we move forward. Let us know. Give us that feedback. If you're having trouble getting through, if you're having trouble getting your messages answered, whatever the case may be, let us know. So.
And Dennis, I'm sorry, I did not address the first half of his question about going with home time. There are a lot of drivers who use their personal vehicles at home. But if you are going on home time, you can let us know. I'm going to be on home time from this point to this point. We can have it enabled for you, obviously, and make note. But we do have several drivers like that. I've done that quite a few times, or drivers at a terminal, for a couple of days. I have a few drivers right now. And just do a check. I make sure, it's on my list. And whenever they're leaving, just let us know when you're coming back off of home time or you're leaving the terminal. And that way we can go ahead and, disable it at that point. That way it's not a continuous phone call every, few steps that you need to make.
We've got a question in Salt Lake.
Nope. Hang on one moment. We had a gentleman here just about to put the microphone up to his mouth, and then we'll come back to you.
Appreciate it.
All right, what about, for instance, like in Florida where you have these service areas, okay? And we all know that it's very hard to find parking in some of these states, okay? And sometimes we've got to be, park on the side or whatever, okay? And you have either security or an officer tell you, you can't park here, you've got to move, okay? When that happens, okay, that officer expects you to move right now, leave. How are we supposed to make a phone call, say, hey, I'm out of hours, I need a PC, I'm having this officer telling me that I can't park here, I have to move.
And I understand the parking situation can be difficult a lot of times. And there are some instances where if you are asked to leave, at that exact moment and you don't have, the timing of the phone call isn't going to be applicable to you. But again, it is in a position where you are in an unsafe spot. Right then and there, all I can say is the best thing to do is if you cannot make the phone call, is contact us still. There are other options where we could save your break because there are split break options available. You may not know how to do one, but we do. So we can definitely set you up, walk you through, do it step by step. Make sure you have it. And of course, you can always call us back as you're going through it. But there's different options. Definitely give us a call, though. Don't just let it go because there's always a secondary way we can hopefully help to save that break if that happens.
Okay, Aaron, do you have a question?
My question was, could I just use the Qualcomm message if I'm going to be using PC in an hour or two? Could I just send a message and say, heads up, this is what's going to be happening, and get it approved beforehand and avoid the phone entirely?
No, that's a great option because, again, sometimes the phone does, you may not be able to get through right away. If you send a message, again, we could do that whole multitasking, but we can see the message, say, hey, I want to use PC, say, this is where I'm going to go, send it a message. We could check and verify it, send your message back. Your PC's been enabled. And yeah, it does make it a lot easier. And we can actually handle a lot more too, as well.
I have one more question at Pittston.
Hey, Dennis, this question's for Dennis. Where's Dennis at? Dennis there. Okay. Hey, Dennis. All right. I see you waving your hand. Hey, Dennis, this is Murray, Dennis. I have a question for you. For the last 3 days, I haven't gotten a call from safety, former fleet manager, former turn manager. So my question to you is that I was in Arcadia, Florida the other day. And so down and delivered to a Walmart. So, I trip plan, got to Walmart, ran out of hours. Yeah, I had the PC, went to the side of the road, parked on the side of the road in Arcadia, Florida. The officer came out, told me I had to move at that time. So I went to PC, for about 15 miles to get to the nearest truck stop, Safe Haven. So from that point, truck stop was full. So I had to go PC again, another 20 miles to find another safe rest haven. Okay, so I got there. The first call I got was, what could I have done better for me not using the PC? The answer to that question really is nothing, because a lot of times you can get to a shipper and you can have hours. And when you get there, because, you know, I guess everyone is so short-staffed, you know, it's taking longer at the shippers now to get unloaded. And we just, like I said, a lot of times we need that time, man, just to move. Now, I don't use it 3 times this week on 3 different scenarios, even after trip planning. So what are you suggesting right now? What do you suggest to do right now?
Hey, I appreciate that question, and continue to do what you've done. You know, it sounds like, and of course, you know, there's probably some, you know, some minute details that we would need to shore up. You know, for example, you talked about going to one 15 miles away. You know, a good and detailed officer might look at Google Maps and say, hey, if you'd have went the other way, there may be 2.5 miles back that way, and wrote you up for a violation. All right. So I'm not saying that you did anything wrong. The process is there. If you would have called, if you were on this test, or even, you know, as we move forward, you know, full time, a simple call to your log advisor, you would have been able to do the exact same thing, even with a little bit more coaching.
Okay, Dennis, but you know, if you're not in a truck stop, man, let's just say around 1,700 hours, say by 5, 6 o'clock, a lot of times, man, it's really, really hard just trying to find somewhere to park. So it goes back to, again, you know, if you get caught at a shipper and it's after 1,800 hours after 6 o'clock, man, you might, you know, it's impossible, man, to really find somewhere. So it's forcing you sometimes to use PC for 30, 45 minutes to find somewhere to park. We can't park on the ramps. We can't park on the side of the road. So now we back at this square one again. You know, when a lot of it goes back to your shipper. We getting tied up at the shipper. We spending too much time at the shipper getting unloaded simply because they are short-staffed. So that's creating a problem for us.
Correct. You're 100% correct. And we know that, you know, especially in the Southeast, there's challenges with parking. You know, in that situation, you know, the coaching isn't, you can't use PC. All right. We, again, you know, kind of going back to when we had our driver up here at the very beginning, we're not taking anything away from anybody. It's actually the exact opposite. Everybody that we've already taken it away from, we're giving it back. So everybody will have access to personal conveyance. We just want you to do it with the full support of Prime. So had you had that log advisor on the phone in that situation, they probably would have told you when you got to that first spot, take some pictures so that you'll have proof in case you need it to show an officer that, hey, I went to ... truck stop. Here are pictures that are dated and timestamped, also with the location stamp. If you have an iPhone, I don't know about that other one, but it'll have a date, time, and location stamp that you can show that officer exactly what you did. These are the coaching that having a conversation with our log advisors will give you to protect you, to protect that driver next to you, and protect the company as a whole.
Dennis, I'm going to sit down with the driver when we're done with the meeting.
Okay, and of course, sir, if you want to continue the discussion with me, give me a call. I'm available. All right, I think we have somebody here had a question. All right, so we're running close on time. So thank you guys for coming up and being a part of that discussion. You know, if there are any drivers out there here in Springfield, you know, these folks will, you know, maybe not Jonathan, we're going to go put him back to work, but you know, we'll be hanging out here on the side. Feel free, come up, let's have the conversation. You know, again, you know, we're not afraid, we're not tucking tail and running away. We encourage you to come up and give us your concerns. Maybe there's something we didn't think about. Maybe there's something we didn't realize. Let's talk about it. Thank you, guys.
Dennis, just real quick, and I do apologize. I just want to make note too is the Prime app is a really good source for information. If you see the app has been revamped, there's a lot more things on it. If you go, if you do not have some of these user manuals or your instruction sheet you need for a DOT inspection, you can actually locate them on your Prime app now by just going to My Pages, going to the bottom, clicking on Hours of Service, and you can see log points, different items. But at the bottom of that page, you'll see your user manual and your instruction sheet. So if you don't have the paper version, you do have an electronic version on hand as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay, real quick, we're going to sneak in another speaker here. We're going to bring up Colby Hughes, part of our driver health and fitness group here. And Colby just wants to get in front of you guys here about something that's coming up.
Yeah, hey, everybody. So yeah, I'm Colby Hughes with the Driver Health and Fitness program here. Just wanted to introduce myself again, get in front of you guys, let you know a couple of things. If you guys have any kind of like test coming up, if you have a physical coming up, perfect time to reach out to us. If you're worried about something, my office is upstairs. Rachel and Johanna also on campus here in Salt Lake. We have Matt, and then we also have Maria over there in Pittston. So coming up actually in March, we're going to start a new drivers competition. It's called Fit in 15. We have one ongoing, but this one has an exact date that'll start and finish. So again, you guys know how to get a hold of us. You can email, call, our office is up there. So anyways, we're always here to help if you got something coming up. That's it. So anybody got any questions while I'm here? You got it.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for letting us sneak you in there. You know, just a few housekeeping notes before we start to transition to the end here. You know, you've heard a few of the speakers talk about the Prime mobile app. I'm biased. I think the Prime mobile app is the best tool that we can offer any Prime driver. So if you haven't downloaded it, please download it. If you having issues with it, we've got a couple experts over here on my right, Richard and Brienne, that can answer questions about the Prime mobile app and anything technology related. You know, another thing that you probably noticed that a lot of folks standing around us, a lot of folks in the crowd, got on red. You know, I've kind of got red-ish today. You know, it's pretty hard every single week to come up with red attire, but we do our best. My shirt, yeah, I hear you. My shirt underneath is red too. I got you. But the reason we do that is to honor our veterans. RED is an acronym for Remember Everyone Deployed. We are a company that we appreciate those that served in uniform. So if you are one of those folks that served in uniform and defended our freedom, please stand up and let us properly appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. So I'm going to take a quick opportunity to introduce to some and present to others a new associate in that department. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of story as Jamie comes up. So you guys probably realize that there was a little bit of change in the safety department. Our previous safety director retired, and he announced that to the department. You know, he's a kind man, and he had that conversation with each and every associate in the department. You know, that personal conversation to tell them, thank you for what you've done. I've enjoyed working with you. This is what my decision. As a result of that conversation with Jamie, she bolted out of the department as quick as she could and went someplace else. So,
Not true.
So
Not
this
true.
is Jamie Miller. She's been here 6.5 years.
6 in March.
6 years in March here in the safety department. You know, her and I basically started in the safety department right about the same time. I had the opportunity to train her too. You're the second person up here that I trained. That's pretty cool.
That's exciting.
And here recently, well, just this week, this is her first week, she's transitioned over into our marketing department. So you'll see a lot of the social media posts, a lot of some of the pictures, some of the videos that are coming out. This is, you know, her and Mitch's, this is their work. So they do a fantastic job. Jamie's going to do a great job at it. You probably recognize that she sang the national anthem at a couple truck driving shows. She's been around here for a long time. So welcome, Jamie. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Good opportunity for Jamie to give us some fantastic news about some accomplishments too.
Yeah, so this week we got nominated into the Hall of Fame for Best Fleets to Drive For. So give yourself a round of applause for all that you guys have done, because we could not have done it without you. So that means basically we are in the Hall of Fame, that we've been 8 years consecutive Best Fleets to Drive For. And what goes into that is that we send out surveys, we complete questionnaires, and then we have to provide different programs that we offer to you guys. They take a look at our facilities. They basically just dive deep into what is Prime, what makes Prime so great, why does it deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And honestly, what it really boils down to, like what I said, is our drivers. We would not be here without you guys. We wouldn't be the best fleets to drive for if we didn't have a fleet. So again, thank you guys so much for all your hard work, for all your dedication to Prime, and to make it what it is today. So thank you.
All right, a big part of that, let's give a round of applause. a big part of that is surveys to each and every one of our drivers to really get kind of like we called our friend up here earlier. We want to know from you, and that committee wanted to know from you what you truly think of the company. And obviously, you know, we probably didn't get perfect because we don't ever expect to get perfect. But I think the marks are really good that we're another year in the Hall of Fame. So thank you to Mitch and Jamie and everybody who worked on that. Of course, thank you to all of our drivers who, you know, this is you. This is what your accomplishments are. So give yourself a round of applause. All right. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for coming on up.
Thank you, guys.
You know, but, you know, as we talk about that best fleet to drive for, you know, it's culture. It's really what it comes down to. You know, we can talk about equipment. We can talk about the customer base. We can talk about, you know, your relationship with your fleet manager. That's all mixed in together for one simple word, culture. And I'm going to bring up the guy that created this culture and continues to pass it on to each in-house associate, and especially each driver every single day. This is Robert Lowe.
Thanks, Dennis. I got to admit, I had a lot of help with the culture, long way, yourself included. We have a great team here. We have a great group of drivers, and appreciate you very much. You know, on this safety stuff, I think, you know, this driver health and wellness, I mean, to really, truly be as safe as you can be, you need to be as healthy as you can be. You know, we want you to live as long as possible. And this can be a very unhealthy occupation. So please let us help you with your health and your wellness. It's good stuff. You know, we talked a lot about personal conveyance and safety issues. You know, our market's kind of tough out there right now. Am I right, Keith? It's pretty tough. We're going through a lot of bid packets. You know, we're fighting and scratching and clawing. Steve Woodkey's over in Ohio this morning, I think. He's got his whole team mobilized, you know, to find the freight that we need at good rates so we can make a living, right? We enjoy making some bank. Can I have an amen on making some bank? Okay. So we're working hard on that. And it's a fight right now. It's a battle because the economy, as you all know, you know, kind of ebbs and flows. I wish it was like 2 years ago. Man, we had so much freight at high rate, we couldn't charge enough. But that's changed, right? Because it swings, it rotates, it ebbs and flows. Right now is the time when we really got to work hard. Why is safety so important? Because these shippers are looking at these safety scores. Why we really count on this personal conveyance, you know, it's not about necessarily being safe per se or not having crashes. It's about, you know, kind of the government's look at it from a compliance standpoint. So if we're using personal conveyance incorrectly, they ding us on that. And then somebody over in someplace, maybe even across the pond, looks at our scores and says, man, that Prime, they're not that safe. Their scores are going down. The other place that impacts you very directly is as your scores get worse, that red light at the scales comes on more frequently. Have y'all noticed that? They're pulling us in a little bit more than they were. So please help us with personal conveyance and these other compliance type issues that are so important. It'll help us get more freight at better rates. It'll keep you out of those scales, slowing you down, costing you money. There's one more issue I wanted to talk about. This is really an honor. Dee, come up here. Dee Silva, yeah, come on up. We got a superstar right here among us, and many of you know her. Yesterday, Dee was on Stuart Varney's Fox Business Channel. She was interviewed on there as a result of her putting an op-ed in, was it Transport Topics?
Yes.
Okay.
It was for another Fox interview.
And they picked up on it and they invited her to speak. And I tell you what, you'd have been proud. She, you know, I couldn't attest what she did. No. I mean, she's a superstar and she represents not only you all, but the trucking industry very well. You know, this California AB5 situation where we've had operators that have had to move out. You know, they want to be independent contractors, but that's not allowed in California pursuant to this AB5 law. So Dee was talking about that and a few other things. I think he even asked you about electric trucks.
I don't think you knew what he was talking about.
Well, you did well. You handled that question very well. I think you kind of threw a curveball at you there, but you did well. And Dee, I just wanted to get you up here and recognize you and thank you for what you do. Dee is really, really special. And we have a lot of special drivers. Dee's right up there at the top of the list. Let me tell you. Dee, you have a few words?
I just want to say thank you for starting this great company, because all of the highlights in my career are because you started Prime.
I paid her to say that. Folks.
No,
Let me
he
tell
did
you.
not. Listen, I worked in the trucking industry. It'll be 32 years next month. And all of my highs came from coming here. I came here in 2015, won Highway Diamond of the Year, got on the driver advisory board, and that's where things just really took off. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of this team. And I'm gonna leave because I'm gonna cry.
Dee, thank you. Yeah, give her a hand. Anyway, she's great. So we'll wrap up. We're running a little bit over time. Dennis, thank you. Great job. All of you presenters, appreciate y'all. God bless each of you, and please be safe.